What's up, everybody? Welcome to Gamescast now, episode 67, topic 1. I am Alex, and this is our gaming show, a show that airs every other week, Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday. We're talking about gaming-related topics. In this video, I want to talk about Days Gone again. Now, I made this video. I've talked about Days Gone on Gamescast now a couple times in the past. And in this video, I wanted to do a little bit of a different thing. I want to talk about if Sony has any confidence in this game. So I want to talk about Days Gone just in general. I want to talk about some of the things that's a little bit alarming to me about Days Gone. I want to go from there. So, Days Gone is a game for me that I truly think can be something very, very good. Now, is it too close to The Last of Us? Is it too close in comparison to all these other zombie games? It may be. Okay, it may be, but we really don't know. This is Sony Bend, this is a Sony first-party studio. This is their first AAA game. They've made a game like Uncharted Golden Abyss on the PS Vita. That was probably the biggest game that they have made up until this point. Okay, and after that, they've been working on this. So it's been a long, long path leading up to Days Gone. They've been working on it for so many years, and it's really, I think, an ambitious project, right? Because it really does seem like such a massive, massive game. And really, they want it to be a AAA, and it's an exclusive, right? So this could be a franchise that can help Sony down the line. This could be an actual franchise they can keep going with. And, again, it's a Sony first-party studio. It's a studio that Sony themselves own. And, the last game that they've made, Uncharted Golden Abyss, was a very good Uncharted. I thought Golden Abyss was better than Uncharted 1 by Naughty Dog. So it's not like Sony Bend has no talent. They do have talent. The game, from what I've seen, from every gameplay that I've seen, I like it. Okay, I think it looks relatively good. I don't think it looks amazing, but I don't think it looks bad. I do think it looks very, very solid. The thing that worries me is really everything that's happened with Days Gone, in a way behind the scenes or in different kind of ways than what you would expect. It's not necessarily about what we've seen that worries me about Days Gone. It's everything else. And so let me give you a few examples. Firstly, we had E3 last year where Sony focused on 4 games coming to the PlayStation 4. Days Gone was not one of them. Now, up until that E3, I really thought Days Gone was one of the major games that Sony was going to focus on because it just seemed like it. When they first, that first E3 trailer where they showed a massive amount of gameplay, I thought it really won over the crowd. I thought it did really, really good. And so everything since then has really been just questionable as to why is it not being shown? Why is it not being talked about? Why doesn't it seem to have Sony's push behind it? And again, E3, that was one of the first and biggest. I think that's one of the biggest examples of Sony not backing their own game is that, it wasn't shown. It wasn't shown at all. They had those kind of intermingling, conferences where they talked to Sean Layden in between, say, Ghost of Tsushima and The Last of Us, and they did that. And they announced a couple other games. They talked about Dreams really fast. So they did some things, but they didn't do Days Gone at all. That's a little worrisome. It was delayed. Okay, now the rumor was that it was supposed to try to come out in 2018, in the fall of 2018. That's not happening. We obviously got the release date. Now that was the first time. Okay, it was rumor had it in the gaming industry was supposed to come out in the fall of 2018. Then it was in February, and then Sony themselves had a blog post, and they moved it obviously to April 26th, and they said we don't want it to come out in all these other games in February. And they basically admitted in that blog post that they feel like Days Gone wouldn't have actually survived, wouldn't have sold well, wouldn't have done well if it came out in February. That's the second thing, okay? That's the second biggest thing. And again, here's the thing. I don't think they're wrong. I think they're right because February has Jump Force, February has Anthem, February has Crackdown 3 for Xbox, February has Metro Exodus. It's got so many games. You release a PlayStation exclusive in that, you've already got a fighting game in Jump Force. You've already got a game that really could be a huge, huge game in 2019 in Anthem. Now, Anthem I really do think can go either way. I do think it can actually be a complete flop, but I'm sure it'll sell well no matter what. So you have Anthem. You have, again, Metro Exodus, a first-person shooter that's going to be very solid. Then you have Crackdown, an Xbox exclusive. So there's a lot of games competing in that month. I think a lot of games are going to get hurt by each other. I really only think a couple of those games are going to come out okay. And Days Gone would not be one of them. So moving it to April, I do think is a good idea. I don't think it's actually a bad thing that it got moved to April at all. It's got, as of right now, there's no game coming out in April that we even know about other than Days Gone. And that's the end of April. You got to think that there's not going to be any other Sony exclusives in anywhere near close to that because they want to give it room to breathe. But so those are all okay things, okay? And again, the gameplay and what we've seen from trailers and the acting and the gameplay mechanics, they all seem really good. I want to love this game. I have hope that this game is going to be good, but there's just something about it that, like, it feels off. Something feels off about Days Gone, and I'm worried because I've had this feeling with other games before, and I always just push it aside. Sometimes there's bigger, things that you can kind of tell leading into it that the game is not going to do good, and sometimes they're not as big. And I think Days Gone, for this, it's not very big. It's not the biggest. There's not the biggest indications that this game is going to fail, but they're there. And I've had past games where I've felt the same thing, and I've pushed that aside and say, no, I believe in the game, and the game comes out, and those things were right. And I should have stuck with what I initially heard and believed. Days Gone, I really, really hope, and it is because it's a PlayStation exclusive. I'll come around and say it. I mean, I love PlayStation. I love Sony. I want Days Gone to be good. It looks like it can be really good. I want it to be a successful franchise for them going forward. I'd feel bad for Sony Bend. They've been working on this game for like 5, 6, 7 years, and this is their first AAA game. And if this game does bad and it's not a good game, who knows what happens to that studio? Sony's already closed down a lot of first-party studios, and Xbox keeps buying them. So Sony really needs to, I think, turn things around in that respect. Even though I think Sony has the better games that come from those studios, Microsoft is building more of those studios overall. So I hope that Days Gone can be good. But something just tells me Sony themselves doesn't even believe in it. They haven't backed it at conferences, not just E3, but any conference. They haven't really talked about it. They haven't really shown too much about it. They've delayed it. Arguably, they've delayed it 2 times. We only know officially about 1 delay, and then that delay, they basically said it's because they don't think it would stand a chance in February. Now, again, and like I said, that's true. I believe that, and I believe Sony believes that. At the same time, is that something you want to come out about your game? I'd rather them, I don't really know if I'd rather them. I'd rather them from just a supporting standpoint of Days Gone to say, no, Days Gone is going to be a phenomenal game. We know it's going to come out. We know it's going to crush it. Let's put it right into that fire in February. Now, here's the thing. I don't actually want them to do that, but I wish in an alternate reality that they would say that so I would believe that they have a lot of faith in it. You could bet if The Last of Us Part 2 was coming out in February, they'd say, it's not, they wouldn't delay and say, oh, we don't think The Last of Us Part 2 would be able to hold up. No, The Last of Us Part 2 is the game. Those other games should be worried about The Last of Us, not the other way around. And Days Gone is not in that situation, and I understand that. I understand it's a different game, but that's what I would have wanted to hear instead. At the end of the day, I still believe in Days Gone. I'm getting it day 1. I'm very, very excited for it. We're going to cover it on the channel. There's going to be a lot of stuff on Days Gone. I hope it can be good. I'm excited for it. End of April. It's got a good spot. It's got a really good spot. I think it can do well. I just really hope the game comes together. So let me know in the comments below, guys. What do you think? Do you have confidence in Days Gone? And more importantly, do you think Sony has confidence in their own game? Let me know. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Podcast Now. Again, these Gamescast topics go up every other week, Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday. On Wednesday, we'll have a brand new topic for you, and I hope to see you there.